Good afternoon, Bluebeamers. My name is Troy DeGroat with U Chapter 2, and I'm excited to partner with the team at Brighter Graphics to deliver world-class Bluebeam training and customization services so you can get the most out of your Bluebeam investment. So now we can go through and start showing you how these measurement tools work. The first one is our length measurement. Now, anytime I do measurements, even anytime I calibrate, I always come down here and make sure that my snap to content is turned on. What that does is, see that little box? It's snapping to the nearest point of that line in the content of the PDF. And when it finds the end of it, it will snap and lock in on that. So I can pick, and I don't have to zoom in and try to find the center of those walls and all those pixels. I can snap directly to that content and pick, and it'll give me that dimension. So there's our back check. We know that that's accurate now. Now we can come in and get measurements of things that weren't measured for us. We can do these window mullions. Start to measure those out. Those are going to be 5 feet on center. Another thing I like to do is, you can see the wall thickness here. A lot of times I like to turn off my line weights. So over here, you'll see my line weight tool. I'm going to click on that, and you'll see now all of my walls have thinner lines. Makes it a lot easier to see what I'm measuring. Turn it back on, you can see them thick and see them thin again. So I like to turn those off. Now I can see where I'm clicking on that wall. Hold my shift key, click on the opposite wall. It'll give us that room dimension. So that is our length measurement. The next one is the poly length tool. This one is going to give us a linear dimension along a line. And so we just need to draw a path in here. Come down the hallway. Come out here, and maybe we'll stop here. I'm going to double click. And here you can see it gives me the length of each line segment. And at the end, it's going to report the total length of that line. So whether that's egress, and that's the distance that we would have to go to exit the building, or maybe you're using it for different materials. Great tool for just getting the linear footage of any path that you can trace. So that's the poly length tool. Next one we'll show you is the area measurement. I'll zoom in on a couple of rooms here. Area measurement is here. There's a couple different ways to do this one. First way, this is just a square room. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and snap into the corner here and drag, click and drag down to the opposite corner and let go. And we can draw a rectangle. It's going to give us the square footage of that room. So most of the time, this is going to land on top of some other text. Most softwares try to get it to land in the middle of the room. And when you try to move that, it's going to move the whole markup. The way we avoid that is hold our shift key. So select the markup, hold your shift key, and then you can click and drag that text wherever you want it to be. Okay. You can come over here, change this area. If you want to see that in square meters, you can switch that as well for the output. I like to set mine up with the pink inside of it so that when I'm looking at the overall plan, I know which rooms I've done my estimate on and which ones are left. In our estimating courses, we show you how to do that, how to set those up as your defaults, things like that. So that is our area. Another way that we can do that, the first one was click and drag. The second one, let's try this room that's a little bit different shape. Clicking and dragging a rectangle wouldn't work. So I'm going to, again, snap into the corner and just pick on each of these straight lines. And then over here, my last point, I'm going to double click, and that fills in that room. Now the trick here for this curve, I could have picked along here and put a bunch of straight segments. What I'm going to do is select that markup, right click on this line segment. It's on a different screen. Let me do this, right click, and I'm going to convert to arc. And if I did a good job picking the end of those straight lines, it'll do a good job filling out that arc for me. And then it updates the square footage according to what it's seeing there. So those are two ways that we can do the area measurement. Next, we'll jump over and take a look at the volume tool. Since all of our material takeoffs are going to be either a length, linear footage, area, volume, or count, those are the tools that we're going to go through today. The volume tool, let's say we have a isolated footing here underneath this column. If I click and hold my shift key down, it'll actually draw a square. So it'll be equal on each side. I let go. Right now it's saying 0 cubic feet. That's because we haven't given that footing a depth yet. It's just an area. If I select the markup, come over here to my measurement panel and put a depth in there. Maybe we want this 16 inches deep. I hit enter, and now it's going to give me 59 cubic feet. Now, depending on how material is bought, when we order it, we can change that type of thing. So if we want to switch this over to cubic meters, cubic yards, we just set our volume to report cubic meters, and then it'll tell us how much we need for that one. Next one is our count tool. When I select this one, it's going to give me a default red check mark. And this allows me to go in here and just place a check mark on all the meeting rooms. What I haven't shown you yet is down in the markups list, it's recording all these quantities for us. So down here we've got our isolated footing with 2 cubic meters. If I click on this markup here, that's our meeting rooms. So it's telling me there's 6 of those, and so on. We've got our little path that we traced in here, different length measurements, different area measurements, and so on. All of that data is being collected down here in our markups list automatically. So that is our count measurement. And the last one I'm going to show you here for just the basics is dynamic fill. That's the one on the far right over here. Looks like a bucket of water. When I click on that, it's going to open up this new toolbar. And how this one works, I'm going to zoom in here on one of these more odd-shaped rooms. How dynamic fill works is I need a continuous line all the way around the perimeter of the area I want to measure. And because I have an open door here, I need to close that. So I'm going to come up here, click on Add a Boundary, and I'm just going to draw. I'm going to click to start, double click to end, draw a line across that door and close it. Next, I'm going to select my paint bucket. I come out into the middle of the room here, and I'm just going to hold my left mouse button down, swirl a little bit, let the paint fill the room. You can see that the continuous line of the door swing stopped the paint, so I'm going to bleed through that one. Again with the door tag, bleed through that. Once this space is all filled in, I need to tell it what to report. So I want to make sure I'm selecting area. Make sure that's highlighted blue. If I don't have something highlighted, it's just, and I click apply, it's just going to cancel. It's not going to report anything because I didn't tell it what to report. So I'm going to select area and click apply. And you can see there it did a really nice job of going around all those curves and gave us the square footage of that area. So that is dynamic fill. I'll show you that one again. There's a few steps, so let's do it again. Again, I've got an open door over here. So I'm going to come over here and add a boundary. Draw a line across here. Go to my paint bucket. Just hold my left mouse button down and swirl a little bit. You never want to get too close to these corners and things like that or it'll bleed through. You got to start over. I'm going to bleed through that countertop and my door tag again. I'm going to come up here and click apply. And there you can see my area measurement again. So you can see how quickly we can go in here and do takeoffs for flooring or ceiling tiles or whatever the case might be. We can get all that information really quickly just by coloring in these areas. And that's it for the basics of how those measurement tools work. I'm going to go ahead and close this one. I hope you learned a thing or two. You can apply it to your work immediately. If you have any questions regarding training or customization services for your company, don't hesitate to reach out to the team at Brighter Graphics or myself. We'd be happy to help you with those.